Lay's, a well-known popular potato chip brand sold all over the world, estimated to be worth 12 billion USD. How's Lay's able to achieve their success? In this video, I'll be covering how Lay's is able to have such a large number of customers and analyzing their market strategy. Lay's is one of the most iconic potato chip brands in the world and is enjoyed in over 200 countries. Lay's is produced by Frito-Lay, a division of PepsiCo. Lay's sells hundreds of millions of packages each year, which the most popular one is the original salted, because of their simple and addictive taste. In Singapore, you can buy a 180-gram bag from Fair Price for around $5.35 SGD. But what makes this simple snack such a popular item? Let's explore this using economic concept, focusing on demand, supply, and elasticity. The first main economic concept I'm going to be exploring is demand. Before we explore, we first need to understand what demand means. Demand is the quantity of goods or service that consumers are willing and able to buy at a certain price over a certain time period. Now we understand what demand is, we need to look into the factors that influence demand for the Lay's classic chips. Taste and preferences is one of the most important factors that affect the demand. The classic flavor has huge customer base, appealing in salty, crispy textures and familiar taste, attracting a wide range of consumers. Unlike trends, Lay's classic flavors does not fade quickly and has long-term consumer loyalty. Since people have different preferences for the taste, Lay's has different varieties of flavors that the consumers are able to choose from. The different types of flavors brings in more consumers, which increases the brand's demand and also increases the original flavor's demand. Consumers who try other Lay's flavors are often more likely to try the original flavor too. This is because once a consumer enjoys one Lay's flavor, they're more likely to trust the brand and be open to trying other varieties, including the original. Also, the consumer may be curious of the flavor Lay's has, making them wonder, causing their curiosity to make them buy the product, increasing the demand of the original flavor chip, which overall increases the original Lay's demand, shifting the demand curve to the right. Lay's has large amounts of advertisement on social media, such as TikTok and YouTube, and also other platforms. Lay's also advertises their product on billboards and also on television. These advertisements increases the awareness of the product and the company, increasing the demand of the product shown in the advertisement. These advertisements usually feature the original potato chip flavor. Here's one of their advertisements.
If Messi comes over to watch the UEFA Champions League, make sure of one thing.
Bátale.
No Lay's, no game. Ain't gonna be no Lay's, no game anymore.
This advertisement shows how everyone loves and enjoys Lay's, no matter where or who they are. This advertisement also ends with a catchy line, "No Lay's, no game," giving the viewer an idea that Lay's is needed and essential for fun. Lay's has used a very effective advertisement strategy of including celebrities to promote their product. In this video, they have used Lionel Messi, one of the most recognizable and admired athlete in the world. Due to them featuring Lionel Messi, this boosted the demand by a large amount. They have also done this during the Champions League, with millions of people watching each year, boosting the demand and increasing the awareness of the brand. This causes a shift to the right on the demand curve, which could result in the product increase in price to prevent shortages. A 170-gram bag of Lay's Classic costs $5.35 SGD in Singapore. The average monthly income in Singapore is around 5,800 SGD, so a bag of Lay's is only about 0.092% of that income. Since the chips are very affordable and only takes a tiny fraction of their monthly income, the Lay's chips is income inelastic, meaning it does not get affected by the change in income of the consumer's salary. The Lay's chips are also a normal good, meaning that as income increases, the demand increases as well. Overall, income does not affect the demand of Lay's by a significant amount. A substitute product is an alternative of another product that have similar purposes. For example, a substitute good for Lay's are Pringles, Ruffles, and Fair Price brand chips, and other brands, meaning that Lay's has to maintain its position and has to be consistent to be able to have a constant demand. So if the other substitute brands reduces the price of the product, Lay's would also have to match them, meaning that the substitute affect the product price by a large amount. Since we looked at demand, we now have to look at the price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand measures how sensitive quantity demanded is to a change in price. Since we understand what price elasticity of demand is, we now have to look into the factors that affect price elasticity of demand. Availability of substitutes is one of the most important factors that affect price elasticity of demand. This is because if there are lots of alternatives, consumers can easily switch if the product becomes too expensive. For example, Lay's has many alternative products, such as Pringles, Ruffles, and different potato chip brands, meaning that they would be price elastic. But due to the brand loyalty, it keeps the demand fairly strong, making it moderate elasticity. Another main factor that affects price elasticity of demand is the proportion of income spent on the product. This is important because the lower the cost compared to the income, the less consumers care about the price changes. Since Lay's chips cost only $5.35 SGD, a small amount compared to the average income, most people won't notice a small price change and wouldn't really care since they are seen as an affordable and cheap snack. This causes the price elasticity of demand for the Lay's Classic flavor to become very inelastic because the price is so affordable for most consumers. In conclusion, I think that Lay's Classic flavor is price inelastic due to the brand's loyalty keeping the demand high and the proportion of income spent being low, making the product seem affordable even though there are many substitutes and alternatives. It is overall price inelastic. Now we have explored demand, we now have to explore supply. First of all, what is supply? Supply is the quantity of a good or service that producers are willing and able to offer for sale at a given price within a specific time period. Let's explore what affects the supply of Lay's Classic in Singapore. Lay's are produced using potatoes, vegetable oil, labor, packaging, and shipping. If the cost of these items increases, it can reduce the supply or increase the price. For example, if the cost of potatoes increases due to floods and crops not growing, it can reduce the supply and increase the price, resulting in the price of the production to increase, meaning the supply will shift left. Subsidies are financial support given from the government to help producers lower the cost of production. This will also encourage the production of the product and consumption of certain goods or services. So if a farmer receives subsidies to produce more potatoes, it would increase the amount of potato supply, which have caused the supply curve to shift right. Natural factors like droughts, floods, or other things that causes damage to the potatoes harvesting directly impacts the chips production, reducing the amount of potatoes that they're able to supply, causing a shift to the left. Since we covered supply, we now need to look at the price elasticity of supply. Price elasticity of supply is a measurement of how sensitive quantity supplied is to change in price. Now we understand what the price elasticity of supply is. Now we need to look at the factors that affect the price elasticity of supply. Availability and flexibility of factors of production is one of the most important factors that affect the elasticity of supply. This factor looks at how easily and quickly producers can get and use resources to make more of a product when the price goes up. So if a company has easy access to these resources and can increase their supply without much delay or cost, the supply would be more elastic. Another main factor that affects the elasticity of supply is the spare production capacity. Spare capacity refers to the unused resources a firm has that can be used to increase production quickly without increasing the cost. If a firm has spare capacity, it can easily respond to a price increase by producing more supply, which makes the supply more elastic. While if a firm is already at full capacity and can't produce more, the supply will be inelastic. In my opinion, the price of Lay's classic potato chip in Singapore is likely to increase slightly over time. We can see this in both demand and supply factors. For the demand factor, as Singapore's population grows and becomes more urbanized, the demand for ready-to-eat snacks like Lay's will likely increase. Lay's brand loyalty may also increase, making loyal consumers to continue buying it and keeping the demand stable, or even making it grow. For the supply factor, I think the main factor that is going to increase the price is the rising production cost. This is because as time goes on, there will be more inflation and more climate change, causing more natural factors disrupting the production of potatoes, increasing the price of supply. For inflation, this can be seen in the graph shown as over time, the price of the product is slowly increasing. Overall, the price of Lay's is expected to gradually rise, but demand is relatively price inelastic since many people will still continue buying it, even at a higher price.